Okay, minutes.
That's all right.
God,
Take
you,
your time.
man, like, so you've always lived in Chester, right?
No, no,
Sin-
no, 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 no.
no, since I've known you though. So I met you 2 years ago,
I
three.
wasn't in Shasta then.
Oh, you weren't.
I
Okay.
was in Oregon. I'm actually still an Oregon resident just because California is so freaking tax happy.
Oh yeah, yeah, no doubt. We got to make our own rules. But
I'm still pretty sick, Todd. So, and
oh
I
yeah,
cough a fair amount.
okay.
So I'll just apologize for that in advance. If it's okay with you, I'll take an opportunity to apologize to the audience that's here today.
Yeah, yeah, no problem.
just just
It's
just to let them know it doesn't it's much better than it was a month ago, but it still does happen, and once it starts I can't stop it. So
once you start coughing, you can't stop.
yeah, it's until it's done.
So was it a upper respiratory scenario, or what was
it
going
was
on?
it was I got COVID when I was in Africa for the initiation, and I was in the hospital for 16 days, died 9 times, came back 10,
God.
and it financially just about ruined me, but I'm okay. And I can't work right now. Like I can't, and it's not so much that I can't work. I don't have the energy, nor do I always have the voice to be able to lead a class and do a transmission the way
God.
a transmission deserves. And it may be April or May before I can do that. I don't know. I don't know. It's day by
Wow.
day.
So I see. I didn't know that you had COVID. I read. I don't. I don't recall. I recall the energy of it. Maybe the post I saw didn't mention it. But so you went to Africa for a ritual or an activation or some kind of gathering. Is that what happened?
No, I went. So in Kenya, there are, where I go is Mount Kenya, and it is overseen, if you will, by a group of 12 seers within the Gatuyu people. And I have been accepted by them and recognized. And
Bless you.
this last January, I was initiated as the first ever white person and the first ever 13th seer within their culture.
Wow.
And that initiation was phenomenal. And 2 days later, I had COVID, and because the initiation is designed to remove all of the veils that remain between you and direct connection to source or the creator. And
Wow.
that's what it did. And the body still had to COVID dovetailed right in there because it just took everything in the body that's unlike that, the energy of love, and started pushing it out to the surface to be so that the entire body can be reorganized.
So, how did your relationship start? How did you end up going to Kenya in the first place? How many times have you been before?
This is my third trip, and
Okay.
I went the first time in 2017, 2018, and I was called through a series of dreams, and I was called by African kings to come there. And when I finally did get there, I met one of the person in my dream,
Wow.
and I had no idea what was going on, really and truly. I do now. I understand the overall picture of it. This is not just a willy nilly thing. This is a long lifetime, multi-incarnational, multi-dimensional agreement.
Wow.
And uh, the the seer Samuel Kamita, who was we went to the annual prayer vigil, which circumambulates around Mount Kenya. It's an all-day affair of doing prayers. And he went to give the three of us, Teresa Lutnager and Beth Courier and myself, a blessing. And when he came to me, he heard that voice inside say, "No, give him everything." And it was like being struck by lightning 5 or 6 times in a few seconds. My body was just
Was
The,
this on this trip or the first trip?
the first one.
Okay.
And then 3 years later, I was ready for the initiation.
Wow. So you're having a series of dreams 3+ years ago. You're meeting people in these dreams. You're told to go to Kenya. You go to Kenya. You don't. I guess you have had no contact with any of these people in the physical world, and you find one of the people.
Don't even know who they are. No,
Wow.
no idea. Don't know where I'm going.
But this guy, this chieftain or priest or elder, seer, he comes to the three of you. He gets to you. Here's no. Give him everything. You get jolted, and then you go back again and get initiated. And then this time you went for. Do you know what you went for this third time?
This time was the initiation.
Oh, this was the initiation. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Wow. That's a lot to take in. I didn't realize it was that deep. And you were in the hospital 16 days and you died 9 times.
Yep.
Do you have recall of your leaving the body?
It's different than what most people think, because when you die, you're gonna experience what it is that you believe is true.
Okay.
So if you're a Christian, you're going to see things within the Christian model.
Right.
But I don't carry any of those beliefs. I carry just an understanding and a knowingness of source and creator, and that is the self. But there's no way to envision it. So I knew that I was not dying. I had made the agreement. I'm not leaving because I still have a lot of work to do. But what I took advantage, if you will, of the fact that all of these veils had been removed, and it's like, it's like being released after lockdown. Oh, I could travel here, or I could travel there. I can go in to visit this council, whatever it is. I was just playing. I was just traveling and enjoying myself, but it was kind of freaking some of the people around me out.
Are you talking about the people that are on the earth or the people you were interacting with?
No, people on the earth, like the hospital staff in the emergency room, or the wonderful soul that I was traveling with that had to go through watching me die on multiple occasions.
Good gosh.
Didn't know if I was coming back or not.
So that's what was freaking them out, because you kept dropping out?
Just over and over and over and over and over.
God. So did the seer know about all of this?
Yeah.
What did they say?
He just smiles and said, "I know you had a good time, didn't you? Now you can settle down and relax a little bit. You don't have to be like a kid in a candy store, because now you can go any place you want whenever you want. You don't have to do it all at once."
Wow. And so, okay, so 16 days in the hospital, you get out, you recover a little bit over there, then you come back. How long you been back?
I came back second week of February, so I've been back a little over a month and a week.
God. Have you had any capabilities stay with you from the experiences of the what we call the near-death experiences?
Everything is different, Todd. So I'm not the person that went to Africa the first, second, or third time. I'm not the person that I was back in early December of 21.
Wow.
Everything is completely different, and at the same time, my body has just been through one of those old style washing machine wringers, where everything has been squeezed out. I lost close to 35, 40 pounds, and most of it was muscle.
Wow.
I ran a really 105 plus fever for quite a few days. And that's just burning off things. And I'm still really weak. I can't walk very much. I can do some things, but not a lot. But I am getting better, a little bit better each day. I am beginning this is long COVID, or what we call long COVID.
Wow.
And I am seeing a naturopath and a physician for treatments to be able to help the body recover.
Wow. And what about your soul or your higher self? Are you getting any type of guidance or instruction or information as to what's happened and what's happening?
On a regular basis, some of it I can share, some of it I can't share,
Okay.
because it's not secret. It's just merely that it's not time yet. And I don't, part of that it's not time is that I don't have a lot of energy to be able to interact with people in the same way that I have in the past.
Yeah.
Like with some of the classes that I offer, there might be 30, 40 people plus there, and it's a lot of energy to be able to work with. It's when you're working with a group like that, and this is not just true for me, this is true for anybody that leads transmissions like this. You create a container that the group comes into, and you have to hold that space while they go through any of the small changes that they go through. I don't have the juice to be able to do that yet, because it requires a lot of physical energy on my part too.
Wow. And is some of that information that it's not ready to share yet, does it involve, I guess, the collective, everybody? Like what's going to happen to everybody, or what, something to that effect?
I'm not a future prophet. I don't have the ability to see,
Right.
or I should say, I don't have the ability to consciously see. I do see, but it just comes on its own in the moment. So it's not like I sit down and say, what's going to happen in 2023 or 24 or 25? And things are changing so fast, as you and everybody here knows that's watching this video. They know things are changing on a moment-to-moment basis, and it's changing quickly.
Yes.
So it's really difficult. There's so many possible pathways out in front of us,
Yeah.
that to go very far out in terms of trying to see what's happening, it's like climbing out on the thinnest limb of a tree that you can and then sawing it off behind you. It doesn't work.
The highest branch too, right?
Yeah, the tiniest one.
Yeah, and as you get hit by all the branches on the way down. What's that all? So
Excuse me.
that's okay. So this connection and relationship you have with the 12 seers, you're now the 13th. Has it brought back previous incarnation memories, be they human or not?
I've always been in this lineage. I've incarnated in this lineage so many times that it's worth talking about. There is this particular lineage located in Mount. So let me just back up. So Mount Kenya is what we refer to as Zion.
Right.
It's the original Garden of Eden, and it's one of the places where life on the outside of the earth first began to be created.
Okay.
And if you go there, if you can manage to get into the forest, which is not easy to do, if you can get a permit to go into the forest, but you have to go with rangers who are armed with fully automatic machine guns. The last thing they ever want to happen is that a tourist be in that forest and somehow encounter a wild animal and are injured or killed. So they insist that you go with the ranger.
Holy shit.
They're just there for your protection, but it's pristine. It's a World Heritage Forest, and it can't be cut down. And you go into it, and literally the deeper you go into it, the more you're going back energetically through time. You're shifting dimensions. The energy is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And in ancient days, back through Atlantis and ancient Egypt, and all of the biblical prophets, and just name one, it doesn't matter who it is. They all made their way, like the pharaohs, they made their way up the Nile, went through an initiatory process with the seers there, where they underwent a 40-day fast in the woods, and then they were dimensionally shifted into the mountain and given a series of herbs or tinctures. The first one put their body into a coma. The second one changed their consciousness. And if they survived, not everybody did. I know on at least one occasion, more than likely multiple occasions, I did not survive that ritual. But if you do, they give you another one, which revives the physical body and wakes it up. So for all of the pharaohs, in order to become pharaoh, they had to undergo this initiation first.
Wow.
And that includes all of the Middle Eastern saints that we love and know, such as Jesus or Muhammad or Yeshua and Muhammad, and Abraham and Isaiah and Isaac, and all of the prophets. They all did this.
Wow. That's deep. That's really deep. And I just knowing a little bit through research, the pharaohs, or it seems that Egypt was one of the places that Atlantis, the folks of Atlantis, us, migrated to. One of the big places, right? And that be it Sumerian or Egyptian, these beings they lived a really long time. They seem to be were they of a different species in the physical at the time?
I can't comment on that one because I'm not 100% certain.
Okay.
I know that living 500, 600, 700 years was not unusual. It was a choice that was available. So,
well, there's a lot to be said for the different narratives from the different parts of the world that basically imply, at a minimum, they imply that higher aspects of ourselves, so to speak, basically founded certain civilizations and stayed with us for a while and then left. Something like that. Do you have a lot of recall of the history of this group of people, this soul tribe in Kenya?
When the Seers were first came together, they were all women, and at the shift in the epochs, then it shifted to all men, and now it's shifting into a balance of men and women. So the wonderful soul that I was traveling with was a woman, or is a woman, and a woman has never been allowed to attend one of these initiatory ceremonies in all of the tens of thousands of years that it's been going on since it became a patriarchal piece. And Africa is very patriarchal. And yet she was not only invited to attend, it was almost insisted that she come, and she photographed the entire thing and took some videos.
Wow.
As I have energy to be able to work with, that can do a really good job of describing it. I am going to write the entire initiatory process with pictures and describe it. And they didn't receive the initiation that I did, but they did receive an initiation, and they've returned to Europe, and they're still going through deep integration. Africa will change you if you've not been there before. Just being on the soil will literally change you, and you will start to open up in ways that you could only imagine.
Would you say that 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 mountain, that area is like I mean, you've already said that's kind of the origin point of origin, right? I mean, in terms of the physical. Okay. What about the tribe itself, the soul tribe itself over there? Are they let's just say is there an oral history that's passed down for this type of thing, and their other cultural aspects?
Yes and no. When the British invaded, the first thing they did was, you can't even call it colonization. So when they invaded,
Right.
they forced Christianity, banned all of the cultural and religious or spiritual events that they had, and Christianity was forced on them, and it has been enthusiastically received. Most of Kenya, most of Africa is Christian,
Yeah.
and you meet Kituyu people around the mountain, and they have no idea what it is.
So
Nothing.
they're untouched. They're untouched by it.
So they've lost the awareness, but it is returning. I mean, for goodness sakes, a Caucasian person from California has dreams and is called to come and help. Basically, the awareness has been instilled in me, and that's part of what once I fully heal and my body's able to function again the way that we all think of ourselves as being able to normally do things, which I can't hardly do very much. And then I will begin to spread that. Then I will begin to share that on a wider basis. And let me just clarify one thing. I went there to receive this initiation. I knew it was coming. At the same time, there's no difference between what I experienced, except within the context of the culture that we're talking about, the Kituyu people in Kenya. But there's no difference between what thousands of other people on the planet have been experiencing. We've all gone through that shift. We've all seen those veils disappear. We've just opened ourselves up. Some journeys have been simpler than mine, because mine certainly hasn't been easy. But it's not isolated just quote unquote to me.
Right. Yeah, I was going to ask you that if there was some type of connection or correlation between what you experienced and what we're all experiencing.
Absolutely, it's the same energy field, and I did invite a lot of the attendees that have come to my classes, like the Freedom from the Known class, to come with me energetically, because we already had this deep connection that we had formed energetically with each other, and many of them, a large proportion of them, had phenomenal experiences at the same time. They received the energy at the same moment.
Yeah.
And they receive it in the way that they're ready to receive it.
Wow. Yeah, when we did the Soulogy Fest last year, which was kind of rushed, and it wasn't a big deal. We had 100 people on site. We had, I think, maybe 150 or 200 that kind of participated online, whether they watched it live or replay. But I remember getting, I'm going to say, 8, 10, maybe even, a dozen people telling me that during and after, now there was no concerted effort to say, hey, come participate with us. It wasn't like that. But a lot of people kept finding themselves there.
Yep.
And were having experiences there. And I even got a message from a sister a couple of days ago that she was back there. Like we were going back, I don't know. Do you think that, given that this place that you went is the origin, do you feel like that there are other places such as Sedona, Shasta, that are kind of collaborating with that tribe over there, with that group that you're associated with?
Absolutely. So the very first time that I went there, the Cthulhu people speak of a star that is just off dimensionally from us, and that star is emitting radiation, which is the kind of radiation that helps evolve us spiritually. And while we were there, that star moved back into this dimension energetically. When it did that, it activated the ancient electric grid or electrical grid that is on the planet, but not with the energy of what it was then, but with the new energy that is coming through. And the very first thing that it did was that it connected to Shasta immediately.
Really?
Then it spread out to all of the other large mountains, the really big mountains around the world. So, and there is a portal on Shasta that if you can find it, you may find it through dreams. That once you do find it and you look through it, you see Mount Kenya, and if you move your head just a little bit, you see Mount Shasta, and if you come back to where the portal is, you see Mount Kenya again. They're intimately connected.
Wow.
And so the Cthulhu people are mentioned in the Hopi legends when they came through the portal in the ceiling of the third world. When they emerged into this one, the four races came through. The black race is the Cthulhu people, and they settled in Kenya.
Wow. Far out. So there was 4 races?
Yeah.
And they each went to a different spot.
Well, the red race obviously went to the southwest of the U.S. The yellow race is the Tibetans. The black race is the Cthulhu people in Kenya. And surprisingly, the white race settled in what could be described as an area around or close to Switzerland.
Okay.
This is way before there are geographical borders.
Right.
It's just that area. And they lost the awareness of who they are. But that's being recovered. That's being recovered and remembered now.
Okay. Wow, this is a lot to take in. This is so cool. I appreciate you spending time with us. So what did you say? Cthulhu? What's the name of it?
Sorry, Kikuyu.
Cuckoo. Okay. Do they speak at all of the people from the sky people?
They speak multidimensionally, and realize that we're not talking about the entire culture of northern Kenya. We're talking about a select group. And it's not an exclusive group. It's just a select group of people that have the awareness to be able to do this. So each one of the 12 seers has a different specialty. So some of them, like Samuel, the person that I am the closest to, he is truly my brother at this point, and including the fact that he has announced to his family that I am his brother, and they should treat me as an uncle whenever I'm around, like his children.
God.
So he is the communicator for all 12 of the seers.
Okay.
Others specialize in, not astrologically, but more like astronomy, monitoring the cycles and the movements of the stars and the galaxies. But they have different points of awareness that they specialize in. Some are herbalists, so that retaining ancient knowledge.
Wow. What a trip. I mean, did you ever I know you're lit. I've known that since I met you, but I mean, do you ever just like pinch yourself and say, holy crap, this is beyond what I thought?
I use different expletives, Todd.
Yeah. I'll try to keep it clean today.
But yeah, I mean, there's no way that I could have imagined, well, just actually happening.
Yeah. So this pilgrimage, this three-part pilgrimage that you've taken that's kind of hit a crescendo, it has to be, I mean, and I know I asked you something like this a minute ago, but it has to be at a minimum like a physical representation of the pattern energetically that's taken hold on the earth. I just wonder how many cells, such as your soul tribe, your soul family over there, how many are all around the world, whether they be in China or the Middle East or South America or Mexico or Shasta, Sedona, whatever. I just would think that it can't be the only one. There has to be more and more of this happening, I would think.
Well, the awakening, we all know the awakening is happening.
Yeah.
And each person has their own, for lack of another way of saying it, their own alarm clock.
Yeah.
That will go off when they're ready.
It's so interesting talking to people. We're I think right at 3,300 shows now, and it's so interesting talking to people, especially these last 2 years. And I know, and I'm not saying this in a condescending way at all, because I'm sure they see the same thing about me. I see the same thing about me. But to be able to talk to people now and then and see the transformation that's happening is incredible. And when I met you, you were incredible. We talked a couple of times, but like your energy is obviously expanded, different, whatever. What do you think? How do you feel personally? How you've changed since you came back, or as a result of the experience?
I am way more humble than I ever used to be.
Wow.
As this energy comes into you, and it will come into you, and if you're watching this video, please know that I'm looking right at you, and I'm feeling you, and I'm telling you, it will come to you. It will happen. Source will come to you. Source will open your heart. It will soften everything around you. And the you that you thought you were will begin to dissolve. And Source will come in to replace that. So as an example, we all have our own levels of conditioning, myself included. When you die, and you really die, and you drop your body, all of that conditioning goes away.
Right.
When you have a death experience and you come back, depending upon who you were, depending upon what your prior conditioning is. So like I mentioned previously, if you are a Christian, you will most likely in the death experience, you will see things of a Christian iconography.
Right.
You might see Yeshua or Christ or saints or whatever. And the same with Buddhism or Islam, although Islam, there's no image, quote unquote, of the prophet. So depending upon how much work you have done on yourself, depending upon your prior belief systems and how strong they are oriented within you, they will dissolve. And that changes the neural patterning inside of your brain. Those whole neural pathways that used to be devoted to this, that, them, and the other just dissolve.
Wow.
They disappear. And Source comes into that space. So the more that you can completely dissolve and let go of yourself, the more Source comes in. So one of the things that happens in the initiation that I described, where the pharaohs would come to the mountain, or the prophets would come to the mountain, and their body would be put into a coma, is that the head seer would lift the person's arm and then let go of it. And if the arm fell like this, it meant that they were still holding on. But if the arm just collapsed, that they were completely letting go and they were truly allowing themselves to be transformed at all levels. And there's no way of knowing with each individual. And we all go, just think of this as a metaphor for the things that we go through. It doesn't have to be the specific format, but there was a correspondence to everybody in terms of how much we let go and how quickly we can let go. So the more that we dissolve, the more we change, the more we transform, and we remember who we are.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, it's crazy because every time you let go, it's that whole thing. I am nothing. I have to feel the I am nothing to get the I am everything. Like, it's like every time we let go, what we let go of, we get back exponentially, not to mention all kinds of other stuff. It's a weird kind of paradox. You know what I mean? But you can't fake letting go.
No, you can't. You can't. So you asked in ways that I've changed. One of the big ways is that I'm very content with who I am. I'm very self-contained within my own energy, within my own field, and that field is really and truly all of us together. But there isn't anything that I want from anybody. I no longer need anything from anybody. I'm just present.
Yeah.
I'm just present. I'm just here.
Wow. I think a lot of people can relate to that trajectory right now. Like you said, it doesn't have to be to the degree that you have experienced, but it's happening. God,
it's different for each one of us, and I'm sure you've heard the expression, we can go easily with grace or we can be drug kicking and screaming. So
yeah.
When it's our time, then the choice that we have is how easy are we going to be? How easily are we going to surrender? Or how much resistance are we going to put up? And some of us, myself included, apparently chose the kicking and screaming.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I can relate to that.
That's okay. There's no wrong choice, and no matter what we think, love is going to find us.
Yeah,
because it's who we are.
Yeah. Wow. And what about, from your perspective, David, the human aspect? Like when you talk about the contentment, and I'm going to just put this word in there, the relaxation resonance that you carry, this contentment, this I have everything, I don't need anything. Where does the human aspect stand? I mean, we're conscious in this body most of the time. This is where our consciousness is. I know that's changing for a lot of people in a lot of ways, but how do you look at your aspect, the one of infinite aspects, the David, Maria, the human?
So the body is a really interesting thing, and it integrates in perfectly. So this is not about the body is disappearing and I'm just becoming completely and totally source. The body, so I have a different understanding of the ascension than some people do, because I don't really think we're ascending in the way that the popular connotation of the word is, which is we're rising above our body and we're going to leave this plane. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to embody, which means that as we purify the body, the frequency, the vibration of it raises, and our soul can now descend into the body and merge and become one with it.
Exactly.
So that there's a full convergence, there's a full integration of our body, mind, and soul. everything fits together. There's no separation. There's no, well, I'm sorry, David, but you have to let that part of you go because it still has a relevance. The history that I went through in order to arrive here, which, if you know anything about my story, which is just a story, and I don't like to focus on it, but it's not been overly easy, and
Right.
that's an understatement. But nonetheless, it's still a part of me. It's still here. So there's not a David disappears. There's an integration of David fully, so that there is an alignment between how I'm connected to Source and how I'm living here in a body.
Yeah. And there's so many things tied to that, where you're saying, like, I know people have talked about it on the show. I know I've experienced, I know my body is rejuvenating. It's regenerating.
Absolutely.
There's no way that, because of my history, let's just say my health history, and I'm not like a lot of people out there who've come on here and had instant healing of major illnesses, or what we call illnesses. But there's just no way I should be standing as upright, have as much energy, have as much strength, whatever. I just turned 60. So based on what I saw, growing up and such, looking at my father, my grandfather, and so on and so on, and then my own, situation, it's happening. That has to be part of the multifaceted embodiment of the soul that you're talking about, I would think.
It's as this energy, as the energy from Source, which is always just pure love, as it comes into you, it changes us from being carbon-based beings to crystalline, to silicon, and every single cell in the body will lift itself and regenerate itself in that new frequency pattern.
Wow.
And it's not always simple. It brings up every single place in you, conscious or unconscious,
Yeah.
that is unlike that love.
Yeah.
And all you have to, if you want to know how humbling this can be, just, I've been teaching now for many years, and I still have so much to learn.
Yes.
And it was very humbling to have my body just be completely wrecked, just completely wrecked.
Wow. Yeah, I love that.
And it's still kind of wrecked. It's still regenerating itself.
Yeah. Well, your spirit looks fully healthy and anchored, I mean, I saw some pictures of you, and you could see the really, I mean, like, I saw one picture of you standing up. I think after it happened, you could see, because knowing you, I mean, I've been with you physically, we've hung out, and you could see I almost want to say, like, the devastation that it brought to you physically. Did you have any moments where you thought, I'm checking out? Did you already have that contentment? Were you faced with anything like that? Any fears, anything like that?
This was actually the 10th time that I've died.
Okay.
I died once, summer before last, driving to Ashland.
Really?
Riding in a car, and it was very interesting. The person riding with me was Teresa Lubnager.
Right.
Or they were driving, I was riding with them, and she could see that I left, and all 12 of the Seers came and were just watching. Mount Kenya came also and was just watching to see what I was going to do. And it was a choice point. I could have gone, and I said, no, I'm not ready to leave. There's still work that not only do I want to do, but I've agreed to do. That's why I came here. And Teresa said she could just watch me. She was watching me just make the decision to force myself back in.
Wow.
And not leave. So it's I'm not sure why I went there, but
No, that was good. That was good. A lot of people are contending, and I love the way you put everybody. You bring us. You bring a uniformity to it all. It's an individual story, but as you said in the beginning,
it's all of our stories.
right. God. Oh yeah. So I think a lot of people, obviously, are struggling with letting go. Let's just put it that way, of the narratives, whatever they may be. But of course, let's just talk about the biggest narratives that have been out there, at least presented, which is COVID and all the sub programs it brought in, and let's say Ukraine. Or it could be other things for other people, human stuff or whatever. From what you've gone through, I'm just curious because I have a feeling it will help people. What is your perspective, your view of such things as these global issues or whatever it may be, the fuckery, whatever you want to call it? What's your perspective on that? Does it take any of your attention? Does it take any of your power? Does it take any of your time, your focus? Do you even think about it?
No, not in the slightest. The more attention you pay to that, the more you bind yourself to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, getting out of it is and there's no blame or judgment here. Don't misunderstand me.
Oh, I got you.
Is where they are, and that's the perfect place for them to be.
Yeah.
Understanding the nature of the control mechanism that is on the entire planet, i.e., conspiracies, seems to be a tried and true method where people begin the process of waking up enough to remove themselves or want to remove themselves from it. The initial impulse is we have to change this. But you can't change it. You can only change yourself. As enough people on the planet change ourselves, things on the planet will change.
Well said.
It's very organic, and we all know that there are multiple versions of Earth that are available to us to be able to be in, and they are not necessarily what we call physical places. They are frequencies.
Yes.
So as you raise the frequency of your vibration, you're no longer living in the same density that you were in before. Your body may be.
Yeah. It's just...
You are not. So we're in the world, but not of it.
Right. It's just freaky. It's freaky. And I think a lot of people can relate to this right now. It's like, because we're in the physical, you have all these, or let's just say a significant number, enough out there of these seemingly anomalies or aberrations or figments of our imagination, if we're using the old vernacular and the old perspective. Like, I mean, I could go down the list. You could, I'm sure. I mean, just different things happening. Time lapses. Where did the time go? Or just all these divine episodes occurring with a little bit more and a little bit more frequency. And it's a trip because I think to myself, so what are we doing here? We're actually, and I totally follow what you're saying. I fall in line with what you're saying. Like, I know that, we talk about addiction, be it smoking, drinking, sex, shopping, whatever. But I think the biggest addiction, and I love the way you explain this, is not letting go of that what I brought up to you. Because you're right. It's an all or nothing proposition. If I think about Ukraine, if I think about Putin, if I think about Biden, whatever, it's not even what I'm offering to the world. It's what I'm not offering to myself. And I love what you said about, we got to fix this. And you're right. And that's a hard pill to swallow, I think.
That only happens inside.
But we don't have to fix anything. It will take care of itself if we take care of us. That's what you're saying.
We don't have to fix, not only do we not have to fix somebody else, we can't fix somebody.
True.
So
That's
the
very true.
biggest addiction that most of us have is that we believe our own internal dialogue. We believe our thoughts.
Yeah. Wow.
We believe that that is our identity.
Yeah.
And that all has to be shed. This is, I mean, we are master creators. We are, each and every one of us is creating the life that is around us. And it's not just us as individuals. Now there's also a collective component too. And the state of the world is a reflection of the collective. The collective can be thought of as a 2 million pound freight train running away down the tracks. And if you're standing in front of it and going, stop, it's just going to cream you.
Yeah.
But if you step off to the side, just watch it go by and
Yeah.
not part of your reality anymore. I mean, whatever is in your life, that is your creation. And I don't care what it is. Whatever is in your life,
It's true.
that's your creation. And if you like it, wonderful. If you don't, you can change it. It's not that
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah. And quicker now than ever.
Quicker now than ever. The energy is so responsive. The response time between wanting to create something new and seeing it implement is so quick these days.
Or enhanced. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enhance something. So I'm just curious. You mentioned that these 12, your brother and the others, they're at a multidimensional frequency or awareness. Like, what is? I saw. Let me just backdrop. I saw a video a couple of weeks ago, and it was this guy David Cho, who's gone to the Congo several times since he was 19 years old, and he was talking about going hunting with the tribe on his last visit, and he was talking about the multidimensionality, the continuity and coherence that they had from the moment they woke up, which was he walks outside with his brother, one of the tribesmen. The tribesman whistles. The birds start whistling back. The birds all come gather. The birds know that they're about to go on a hunt. The birds go find the prey, and they follow the birds. And so it just keeps going, be it the wind, be it everything in synchronicity. And I just marveled at the whole thing, and I thought, wow, there's no thoughts of philosophy. There's no thoughts of even metaphysicality. They're just actually part of the whole landscape in their infinite, fractal, right? So my question is do they, what's on their mind? Are they just pretty much 100% aligned with nature itself in their existence and so on? Or do they have thoughts that we might have, such as, what are we doing here? What is life? What are those stars in the sky and that type of thing?
God, I can't speak for them. There is a story out of India that king cobras, when they're hungry, they leave their den and they go out and they sit and meditate that they're hungry, and whatever it is their prey, it comes to them.
Wow.
There's stories that First Nation people tell of hunting deer, and they come upon a herd of deer and they do prayers letting them know that the people are hungry and need food, and is someone willing to gift themselves. And sooner or later, a deer, usually an older fawn or an older buck, will separate itself out from the herd.
Wow.
And yes, there is that thing of being just oneness in nature, but I can't speak to whether or not they are having thoughts or not thoughts.
Yeah.
Or what the nature of those thoughts will be. I haven't met these people, so I can't speak to them. Wow. I can say that as an example of this, part of the initiation that I received was in relation to the earth. And just when we walked out into this clearing, because we were in a really large, expansive meadow. And as soon as we stepped into the meadow, the birds started singing and calling to each other. The monkeys started yelling. The baboons started yelling. There were water buffalo or other buffalo that were there, not native, not American buffalo. They all started roaring. Flocks of birds just all of a sudden took off from the trees. The ground started shimmering just a little bit, as if the entire earth at that moment was in celebration of what this was going to be. And it actually happened twice. And that's just an example of, there's no thought of that. No one's thinking of that. No one's, but everybody there is aware of it.
Yeah. I can relate to that. I'm sure a lot of people can in a smaller way. You know, like I can walk out back here and I notice it. I notice things. Do you think that what you just told us, I understand that it had something to do with the moment, right?
Absolutely. It was in response to the energy that had gathered there for that particular initiation, for that.
Right.
But we've all experienced being out in nature and being one with it and just feeling ourselves being absolutely with the wind that's blowing through.
Yeah. 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 And I was going to just say too, or ask you, like, there's, you know, people talk about this isn't just us.
No.
I mean, the earth is ascending, the animals are ascending. I feel like I've seen a change in the animal kingdom, at least in my own experience, in my own life, over the last few months, year and a half. I don't know. I've just noticed things are different, and it could be spiders, it could be, you know, a fox in the backyard, you know, in the back here. There's just something different. Trees, wind, everything just seems to be. Even I've been doing a lot of juicing since June, and I'm having these conversations with fruit and vegetables. Like, I know it sounds weird, but
No, it doesn't sound
I
weird.
hear them talking to me. I hear, you know what I mean? Like, it's just weird. And I've joked about this for years. Like, oh, I think the hardest thing is going to be getting used to our natural nature. And you know how you say things and they come true, right? I mean, that's what I see now. I feel like that we're starting to get a little bit more comfortable, especially after we hear about, you know, people's experiences such as yours. Like, we're starting to get more comfortable with, wow, this is actually no BS. This is actually bigger than everything, and it's happening.
You've had lots of people on your program, Todd, that are self-realized, that they know.
Yeah.
They know they know the truth of who they are.
Yeah.
So if you look back through some of your programs that you've had, say with Judith Kuzel or with other people that she has been with, she speaks in her own way of this same thing.
Yes.
She speaks of the energy of Africa. She has spoken without using my name. She's spoken several times about me. I don't know Judith. I've never talked to her. I've never met her.
Well, you know her.
But I know her. I know who she is.
Yeah, I have her book right here.
Yeah.
Why I Was Born in Africa. Yeah.
Yeah. I bought it quite a few years ago.
Yeah. It's getting exciting. I know you've been through a lot. Are you excited about what's coming?
I'm I'm like in some ways like a pent up animal, just waiting for when I can go public again. But at the same time, I'm very calm and I'm very still, because if you're around me, I'm very still. I'm very quiet.
Yeah, I can feel it.
There's not a lot of movement with me. I'm not an excitable person unless you get me on a phone call with one of those automated phone trees that do not recognize what you're asking it to do. I can get excited with that kind of.
Oh yeah, you mean the call prompts? God, I hate those things. That's got to be the worst creation of AI there was. Fucking call prompt. I just want to talk to a person, for Christ's sake.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful. It shows me where I still have something to look at.
True, true. So I know you're still recuperating, and healing, peace, and love to you. What do you have any idea? You say you're going to be coming out once you recover and start sharing again. But I mean, do you have any plan? Do you have any inkling of where you're headed or what's happening?
I was hoping, and this was just me hoping, that I would be able to start offering classes again in the beginning of April, first week of April, somewhere in there. But I'm still really weak, and
yeah,
this has been as much of a joy as it has been to be with you, because I've been waiting a long time to be on your show. My voice is just right about at my limit. So when I first returned from Africa, it was not unusual that the conversation, my voice might be something like I would be speaking and then it just disappears.
Oh wow.
And so much of what I do is transmission based, or so much of what I offer is transmission based. I need to wait for the throat to completely heal. My voice went offline for quite a bit because my voice, this particular energy center, the throat center, is the mechanism that the energy of the transmission is spoken through.
Yeah.
And it's being completely reprogrammed, as is everything. It's being reprogrammed to be able to pull through in terms of verbalization and not impede the transmissions that are coming. But I'm very much looking forward to being able to share classes again and be able to do individual sessions. Africa just about, I mean, I'm okay, don't misunderstand me, but it just about financially ruined me. Because it was incredible. I would be in bankruptcy if I had gotten COVID and been in the hospital here in the States.
God.
It was still very expensive, and many people, over 100 people, sent me donations of whatever amount that they could do, but it was incredibly generous and gave me the funds to be able to cover all of those expenses. In Kenyan hospital systems, they won't let you leave until you pay your bill.
You're kidding.
So if you can't pay your bill, you have to stay. But if you can't pay your bill and you have to stay, you're continuing to run up bills. So if you have a large bill and if a person had a large bill and they died, they won't release the body until the family pays the bill.
My God, that's wild.
So it's a little different. Anyway, I owe this immense gratitude to so many people that were so incredibly generous and donated more than enough money for me to be able to help cover those bills. And I had a little bit of savings here that has allowed me to not have to worry about it. And whenever I start to worry about it, Source comes in and just laughs at me. Do you think you're going to be ignored? Just relax. Everything's fine. Everything is fine.
Wow. Man, what a download talking to you. Jeez. I'm going to have to go lay down. Yeah, we do love you, David.
We love you too, Todd.
I hope to see you again soon.
It would be absolutely lovely when I'm fully back on my feet and emerging again back into the world of sharing on a regular basis. It would be lovely to come back and be with you.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that. It's incredible.
I wasn't sure that I'd even be able to do your show at all, but I had clear guidance that say yes, just say yes.
I can feel it. Man, you just keep getting better. I know you will, and I look forward to collaborating with you again, maybe in a few weeks, and maybe even in person this year.
If you're going to be in the Shasta area, just let me know.
I will. I will. You take care of yourself, and thank you so much for opening your heart, sharing space with us, and just telling us what happened, because it's full of code. And
it is. It absolutely is. And the big code is the conversation about what it's like when you die and come back, and how your neural patterning changes, and your part of your conditioning lets go, and the neural pattern, your neural net grows larger, and it allows more space, and it allows the love that is source to come in.
Right on.
And I look forward to being with you again, Todd. Thank you.
All right, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. It's an honor. You take care.